Yeah, looking forward to it, and thank you very much for the answers. That will be our game change.
Okay, so let me just start the session. I think we are good to go. Good evening, everyone. Warm welcome to our weekly workshop. Let me welcome Mr. Sanjeet, who will be our mentor today. So he'll be explaining his experience in Spiti Valley, right?
Yes, yes.
So today, Biju Christian and Vinod Kumar will be our co-host. So if you have any questions or something, you can post in the comment box. You can raise the hand. So in between we can ask, or we can ask at the end. Okay. So over to you, Sanjeet. You can.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, everyone. It's my pleasure that you guys have hosted me. Snow Leopard is very close to me because for years, even I, just like you guys, probably think of going there. For years, even I had the same desire that how am I going to make it there? As you get older, you feel it's going to get more difficult, but if you have the willpower for it, you will get there. Once you get there and you see how it works out, then you feel like that you want to do it more and more. It really opens up your mind how much you can challenge yourself and be able to achieve. So let me start with giving you an insight to a snow leopard expedition, because a lot of people will give you the knowledge. Everything is available on the internet. I don't need to speak about what a snow leopard is all about, what are the habits, what are the terrain, everything is available on the web. So I'll just give you an insight how to go there and what to do. So we all have the fascination for snow leopard. It's called the gray ghost. It's called the elusive one.
Libin, I can start the recording.
It's done. Already started.
Okay. Okay. So for the longest time, it was the most probably difficult big cat to go and photograph. But in Spiti Valley, what happened was that a lot of good conservationists, they hired a lot of local people to work with them, and that led to people being invited over, and that led to tourism. So first of all, I would thank all the conservationists who worked there, because without them, this tourism or us getting pictures would have never happened. Why is Spiti Valley good for photographers? I'll explain that. Then I'll show you some of my images. What are the kind of frames that we want? Some want head-on shots, some want composition, so I'll talk about that. I'll just show you a few of the other fauna, avifauna there. Then the questions we discussed before we started this is how to travel, how to reach there, stay, gear, apparel. Then after we do all this for our own personal needs, we also talk about how it's going to help the local people, the local, folk, the forest, the conservation effort. How does it all help? And then I'll show you a classic snow leopard Ibex video that you probably have seen on the web and in TV. There's always some special snow leopard Ibex video always. And then I'll, give you my thanks. So as well, I was asked, where is Spiti Valley? Now, Spiti Valley is part of the Lahaul and Spiti district in Himachal Pradesh. That's in North India. It has Ladakh to its west, and it has China, which now is China was Tibet, to its east. There are times when you will be only 25 kilometers away from the Chinese border. It's about 550 kilometers from Chandigarh. It's not a long distance, but it takes time because it's uphill, mountainous road with a lot of obstacles. It's been there for the longest time. There are monasteries that blow your mind at how people reached there, what all they were able to achieve even 1,000 years ago. So our fascination for snow leopard, we call it a gray ghost, we call it elusive. It's always in a remote location, so we always have desired how we want to get there, what we want to do. We have to make an effort to spot it, track it, photograph it, and when you go to a remote location, you have a limited number of days. It's quite stressful. So this gray ghost, which is elusive, really brings out the best in you or the biggest fears. The good thing about snow leopard is that because it's all white, it's vast, there are amazing action shots you can get in composition shots because there's very little obstacle around that snow or the rocks that can, spoil your shots. It is sometimes difficult to shoot because to first locate the snow leopard if it's not in the snow, because in the snow you can see the pug marks. In the snow you can spot the grayish part moving. But when it's in the rocks, in the bare rocks, it will take you 5-10 minutes to even spot it, even after the guide puts your camera in that location for you. You'll still not be able to spot it. So there are, it is elusive. So that's the snow leopard. Again, as I said, I want to thank those conservationists that led to tourism. There's a person called Mr. Charu Mishra, incredible person. He's the head of Snow Leopard Trust. There is NCF, which is really, that's where everyone started working from, even though they are part of Snow Leopard Trust. Forest Department is very active. Traffic is a very popular and very strong big cat organization. On the left, you can see is the typical winter day in Kibber village. This is after the fresh snow. On the right, what you see is the road. This is Spiti River, Spiti Valley. This is Spiti Valley River is frozen. Spiti River is frozen. If you look on your right, you see a streak in the middle. That's the road that goes up in the mountains. And Kibber is beyond, maybe 20 kilometers ahead of this. Okay, so I guess we all who have logged in are probably all photographers. Why is Spiti Valley expedition better or good for photographers? First of all, acclimatization. When you fly to Leh and you go to any part of Ladakh, you need to stay a day in Leh or reach a higher altitude and stay a day there and not go out because you need to acclimatize your body. Here you take a day and a half to reach by road. So while you're going up, subconsciously, you're not realizing from 1,000 feet to 14,000 feet, in a day and a half, you're acclimatizing yourself. So that really helps you out. The other problem that I faced in other parts of the country was that the angle of the photography. If you look at my picture where I'm sitting, there's a gorge and there is a mountain on the other side. Most of the shots you will have is minus 10 degrees to about 15 to 20 degrees. So the angle that when you shoot is amazing compared to the other places. So it's really good for the photography. Distance from the subject, 200 meters to 500 meters is max, sometimes 700. There are times when you even get it at 50 to 100 meters, but we don't encourage it because the forest department doesn't want us to get closer than 100 meters. So we have to respect their law. Even at 200 meters with a 500 mm, the 1.4x, you will get really good shots. While you are waiting for the snow leopard, it's not like snow leopard is there every day. There's a lot of raptors. There's a lot of other action that you'll get from other fauna. You will be busy. Something creative you'll keep on doing. So there's no downtime. 7:30 in the morning till 5 in the evening, 5:30 in the evening, 10 hours, you will be out in the field unless you're tired and want to take a break. Amazing network of scanners. Because I told you they worked with all the conservation groups, they are aware of what are the favorite spots of all the snow leopards. Where they like to sit, where they like to be in a cave, what is their track, what is their favorite prey. Everything those guys are known for the last 10, 12 years working with the conservationists. That's the benefit that you get being in Spiti Valley. There's a good road network. Most of the times you go to places where there's a sighting on one side, but you have to walk a kilometer to go to the next site. Because of good road network, you're able to take a car or a jeep and reach that spot so you don't miss a sighting. you can see on the lower screen on the right, there are people who are at the edge of the gorge, at the cliff. That's the maximum you will have to, if you look at that, that's not more than 1,000 steps. The maximum you will have to walk. There are times when there's a 3 to 4 kilometer walk, but the thing with snow leopard is, if you see a snow leopard in the morning, it's going to be around till the evening. So there's no need to rush, there's no need to run. You take your time, your pace, and you will still get a good shot. Now the infrastructure for evacuation. There's a primary health center at the village. They have oxygen, they have Dimox, they have first aid kit. So in case there's an injury or you start feeling acute mountain sickness, they'll take care of you. Little worse, then you go to another tertiary healthcare center in a town called Kaza. So they have all the infrastructure you need to take care of you. But as I said earlier, you will have to go to a lower altitude if your acute mountain sickness gets bad. How do we avoid that? The minute you check into the homestay to the minute you leave, every 6 to 8 hours, we will check your oxygen saturation. Your oxygen saturation, even if it's 83, 85, you're fine. Generally, it should be plus 95. But up there, even plus 80 is fine. We also carry oxygen cylinder when we make these treks. We have an oxygen cylinder in the vehicle that will take you to Kibber. We have oxygen cylinder in the homestay. So there's never an issue with not being ready for a guest who has come in, because even a guest for a few hours doesn't realize that he's got acute mountain sickness. The food is very decent. It's very plain. There's nothing, spicy. There's all kind of North Indian and continental food that they make, even local food. Very hard to get a stomach upset. Now I'll show you some photos that I've taken. The reason I put this picture is that I'm only carrying a stick, a walking stick. My camera bag, my backpack, my chair, everything is carried by porters. So there, all you have to do is force yourself to make that climb or the downhill. You don't have to be so stressed out about carrying your stuff, which obviously is not easy for somebody who has not lived there. Those people can carry 30, 40 kilos and run. We can't do that. No need to be a hero. You just have to be patient, take your time, admit that you can't carry something, and then go with the flow. This is one of my favorite images. This is a snow leopard trying to attack an ibex. The snow leopard is not going close to the ibex because the ibex knows that if the snow leopard comes close to me, they're both going to fall in the gorge. This went on for 4 hours, from 2 p.m. till 6 p.m. And it was minus 25 degrees and it was dark and I just couldn't take it. We didn't know what happened. So the charm of the photo is that what happened. So nobody knows what happened. The next day we did figure out that the snow leopard was still stalking. So we figured that obviously it's not got the ibex. That's why it's still stalking. But when you watch something like this for hours, it's something that you can't even think of in your dreams that, this kind of scene you will see where an ibex is so smart that it won't leave the edge of the cliff so the snow leopard doesn't come close to it. There were times when the ibex would turn to leave, because obviously he's also nervous standing next to the cliff so long. So the minute it would turn, the snow leopard would run and try to grab it. And the minute the snow leopard would come close, the ibex would turn again and face it and try to avoid the snow leopard coming close to it so that both don't fall down the cliff. This image was appreciated by a lot of people. This image was part of the Century Asia cover shot last year. I'm honored that they chose this picture because it was very dear to me. Snow leopard, as I said, this is at about 200 meters. It's an amazing animal. You get bluish eyes, you get brown eyes, depending on the age or the time of the year. It's an amazing animal to photograph. There's a kill behind it. That the reason it's just calm and sitting there is because it's trying to safeguard its kill. This was actually a downhill shot. I was at about 45 degrees pointing downwards with my camera. But the way you could angle the camera, it looks like you were having it in eye level. So that's the amazing part about Spiti Valley. Composition, if you look, the reason I've kept the border of my frame is because I always compare how good is my color, how good is my whites compared to the whites in the picture. So what is the color temperature? It's the purest of it's white. It's never blue or yellow. So you have to be in your composition, be really particular about your whites. So if you see, it's very close to the color of the frame. I enjoy composition because after a while, portraits really don't do so much for me because I've been there many times. Initially, yes, it is important that you get a good portrait. Recently, lot of cubs have been thriving. Every year, couple of cubs, set of 3, 1, you are able to photograph in Spiti Valley. Cubs obviously mean the population thriving, but it also shows you that when you go there to photograph, these are the kind of frames you can have. So when you're walking alone up in that mountain in 3 feet snow, this is what should inspire you that I can do it because I need this. I want to photograph this. So this is 2020 March. This is 2 days before the lockdown was announced in India. I was not ready to leave, but the Snow Leopard and the 3 cubs, they left us. They went to a different valley, so we couldn't photograph anymore. So I came back. Kill. They will stalk. They will kill. Generally, it takes about 2 weeks for a snow leopard to make a kill. They generally have about 20 to 30 kills in a year. Many people get frustrated. They'll go for 6 days, 10 days. Oh, we didn't get a kill shot. It's stalking every day. Didn't make a kill. What didn't make a kill? It's not easy. You have to be in the right spot on the right day at the right time. They've killed a yak here. These are actually 2 sub-adults of a snow leopard there last year. This is 2019. They all have their favorite caves. The snow leopard lives very close to the 2 main villages, which is Kibber and Chicham. And in between those 2 villages, there is a gorge. And one of the gorges, there is this famous snow leopard, which is called Shin. Shin is basically a word that for a snow leopard that was more popular in Ladakh. They have their own dialect in Spiti as well as in Kannauр, but Shin is generally the common word used in their language. This is at about 300 meters. I use a Leica rangefinder, so I'm always logging how far accurately I have a sighting. Because if you look through your eyes, you might say it's 400, 700, 200. It's all subjective. So it's better to be objective so you know what you're doing. I enjoy shots like, going through the snow. If you see the trail behind it, it'll be a long trail. Some people enjoy the composition of a long trail behind it as well. But you can see how deep sometimes it has to go plow through to get to a point. I like this image because it's basically 3 cubs. This is from February 2020. They cozy up and they play, and it just looks like a fur ball. So I like this image. There is snow. Sometimes people see this, there's no snow. I want a snow leopard in snow. There is snow. It's just that in the crevices, there are parts where they are sitting. That's not snow, because even they don't want to sit in snow all the time. So they are just resting all day. In the evening before they follow their mother, they basically just cuddling up and, they play with them and they scent mark and show affection to each other. Scent marking is not only through spray of the urine or their, special organ, it's also through, their whiskers and the side of their face, just to, feel they know each other. These three cubs gave us a lot of different kind of frames, sometimes closer, sometimes further out. This is at about 750 meters. There's nothing you can do, but you don't want to lose that frame. So you try to compose according to what you feel the action might be. So these cubs were following the mother actually, and they were going to a different valley on, I think it was March 20th. And then I decided, no, I think they've left, so might as well, move. No point being around. But when you come back next year, when we all go back next year, I think they should be bigger and be more playful. We got another snow leopard that this is commonly now shown on YouTube, this video. There's a snow leopard. The snow leopard is about a 13 to 14-year-old snow leopard that has been showcasing itself in Khyber and charming all the photographers. This is actually beyond its territory. It doesn't really come to, this is near Key Monastery. And when you see the video, you realize how this Ibex, which is like, if you see it, nearly twice the size, fell for it. Because it's in cold running water, it had to start eating right away because it will freeze. This Ibex is also was a very photographed Ibex in Khyber. You can tell the maturity of the Ibex by its horns. This is class 5 horns. How they are done as class 5 is a different subject. So it's sitting on top of the Ibex because there's no way it can move the Ibex, and it's freezing cold water, so it can't stay in the water too long. This is at a 45-degree looking down in Spiti River actually. We are nearly, what I have remembered, is about 500 meters higher than this snow leopard. This lasted for about 3 days, and then it was so frozen that it couldn't eat it anymore. And then we got 5 more days of it stalking Ibex and blue sheep in a different location. So it was a long 1 week drama that we got of killing and stalking. All of us are different types of photographers. There are, some classic snow leopard frames. Some people will ask for portrait shots. Somebody wants to do their composition. Somebody wants them in different habitats. Somebody wants them in behavior, scent marking, jumping, stalking. The interaction with other fauna, they try to interact with raptors, try to chase a hare. So there's lots of different times when you don't really know, you want something, but you get something else. So keep your minds open. There are some people who enjoy taking image with a village in the background or people moving. They will say, okay, we don't want to face the snow leopard. We want to go behind the snow leopard because we want to get the habitat. We want to get the village to show how this symbiotic relationship between snow leopard and human and the village, and nobody is disturbing anybody. There is no poaching happening there, if you just want me to tell you, because the people have realized that this animal is providing them so much respect and improvement in economy in the winters, because those people live on 1 crop a year. So most of the time they are just idling the time away or just drinking. So to be appreciated for their work and even given money, they have changed their lifestyle. They have become proud. They are more than eager to help you out. Prey, stalking and kill, that's the ultimate. There is nothing like what seeing a snow leopard run with snowfall, going all over the place, missing, you feeling your adrenaline go down, then killing, then go up. And it's all out in the open. There's no tree, no bush, nothing to, stop you from not getting a good shot. Every year there are mating shots, every year. There are about 8 to 10 locations. every year you get some kind of mating shot, sometimes in 250, 300 meters, sometimes even up to a kilometer. So that's your luck. Cubs in family, always, I mean, their interaction, nothing like it, part of the behavior. Very disciplined cubs, mostly they follow the mother. The terrain is such, you have to be with the mother. If you get lost, I mean, that's it. It's very harsh climate, it's very harsh terrain. Again, I mean, you can get a portrait shot, just about 300 meters. Sometimes the snow leopard might not be that clear, but just the rock formation and the snow gives you a kind of, different composition. So you just have to be creative and satisfied in what you do. There are, very popular other fauna like red fox. Red fox gives you amazing shots as well. You can compose as you like. Very photogenic and gives amazing flight shots is the bearded vulture, lammergeier. The span, it's not even, my picture is not justifying the span. The span of these wings is insane when it's right next to you. This is probably at about, I would say, 30 meters from my head. The biggest prey, Ibex, basically they live on Ibex and blue sheep. Blue sheep are more into the greens, so they shift a lot more than Ibex. Ibex is more into the roots, so they can dig in and live off even heavy snowfall. But the blue sheep, they like less snow, so they shift a lot more than Ibex do. So right now, most of the snow leopards are going after Ibex in Kibber. The red fox, it's sad that red fox and stray dogs, they are in competition around that area now. So it's to see their plight is not easy, but they're still around. I mean, the stray dogs are a big menace around that area as well. So when you get a comfortable, calm red fox, you enjoy that shot. One of my favorite little birds out there is the now called the white-winged redstart, but I used to call what the old name was golden start redstart. You will get male, female, you will get snowcock. I haven't had the kind of picture I want. I wait. I will not post or show a picture of a bird if it's not good. So I'm waiting for my good snowcock picture. That's the only bird that is missing in my portfolio. So yeah, I enjoy this bird. This bird gives you lovely photos. Blue sheep, as I said, behavioral shots, jumping off 15, 20 feet, coming down everywhere. It's interesting. The problem with blue sheep is when they are up in the cliff higher than you and they move, all the little pebbles, they start rolling, and then the snow starts rolling and there's an avalanche. So blue sheep, you have to be very careful how far or how close you want to shoot. Stay travel gear apparel. It takes 2 nights to get to Kibber from Chandigarh. It helps in climatization because you're gradually climbing from 1,000 feet to 14,000 feet. Since there are stopovers on the way, you will be driving around 8 hours on the first day and about 9 hours on the next day. There can be obstacles like a landslide or a avalanche. There's always an alternative plan. If you get caught in one of those, they'll take you to a different homestay in midway so you can be comfortable for the night. There's always a escort going with you along the driver who will know all the villages and the towns on the way, so you don't get stranded at night midway. You will need a minimum of 6 days in Kibber. I've had people who have been there for 5.5 days and given up all their hope, and then they'll get something amazing just off the road. So that's all your luck. But this is the thumb rule that we have come up with, you need at least 6 nights there. So you can, for people who have, issue with getting long vacation, you can fly in on a Saturday morning and be back home by the next Sunday. So that's the way most of the people do it. There are good hotels on the way, very nice heritage hotel on the way that you will even enjoy photographing the heritage hotel. You will enjoy, just knowing the history of the place. So you could take a nice clean bath before you go into the homestay. So it's not that uncomfortable at all. It's fine. In Kibber, the homestay will be very clean. It's very hygienic. The food is excellent. The only problem will be the loose, generally a dry toilet, but it's made in such a way that you will not even realize that it's a dry toilet. You will not be able to take bath, and I would not advise you to take a shower for those 6 days because you don't want to do anything that you are exerting for no reason and feeling cold or hot. You don't really sweat there, so if you don't really sweat, you don't really smell. So you don't really, for 6 days you can bear it. My advice, but then some people, they take shower. Photography gear, the longest telephoto you can bring. We have rental company that we are associated with. You don't even have to bring a camera. We can even give you a camera when you land. But you need the longest one, 600, 800, 500 with TC, 400 with 2X. Try to get the longest one. And if you need to rent it for 10 days, rent it. Yes, pro camera, definitely a pro camera body because you're going to need all the action. So you need the high frame rate. You will need high megapixels. So then even, a 5D Mark IV or a T850 or a Sony 7R 4, which have higher megapixel, they will work, but they will have lower, frame rate. So that you will have to play and, see how it goes. Definitely a very sturdy tripod. The tripod has to be lifted by your porter and taken by him, so it has to be sturdy. He has to put it in snow. Sometimes, put it in such a way that the rocks are, always shifting, so it doesn't just fall off. So definitely a sturdy tripod. Fluid motion tripod it just helps you in panning because when it's going, after a prey, you're going to have to pan, and there's no way you can do it handheld. There's no way you can do it on a ball head. There's no way you can use a ball head tripod head. So you need a fluid head tripod head. Again, all these things are available on rent. You will need a smaller focal length lens because a lot of times you will do composition, not just of snow leopard, but other fauna, even just the village or how the sunrise. There's so many other ways you can do it. Apparel, once you say Arctic, everyone understands what Arctic is. I mean, triple layered, waterproof, snowshoes, double layered gloves, strong, good beanie. That we have a whole list. If you want a list, we will share a whole list of what to do, how to do it. Okay, we're coming to the end. Why do we, there's obviously we are all photographers. We want to do photography. We have a wish to do something, but it's really helping the local people out there because in India still, whatever you might say, there's a lot of caste system. So the people who are of the lower caste generally don't end up with any farmland or regular jobs or any who are can open a business. In Tibet, the way the Buddhists work, the elder son gets everything and the younger son, if there's 3, then the youngest one becomes a monk. So that guy also has nothing, so just the elder son will have everything. So all this that we are doing in the winter really helps them earn some bit more because in the summer they work in the farm for somebody, but in winter they can't work. So it's really helping them be economically independent. Again, a lot of these boys who had worked with conservation, they were working as spotters. They worked as scanners. The difference between spotter and scanner is that a spotter might just walk with you to help you spot. And generally, he's your porter. But a scanner will leave an hour before you guys even wake up. He will have his walkie-talkie and he's gone. And then they communicate between each other because they know where to look, what marks to follow, and then they share the information between themselves. Why does this help the forest department? Because this is the forest department there has a shortage of staff. I mean, how many people want to work in winter in remote areas, even from the forest department? So all this really helps the forest department keep track of the snow leopards, keep track of even the tourists, because even there are always some mischievous tourists. They take care of, there's a lot of offloading that happens there, so they also give them information. We're not to offload because that kills the grazing for the fauna. Now, how does this eco and sustainable tourism help in conservation? For the last 2 years, we have made sure that a part of what we do goes to the local village fund that helps in their dealing with any calamity. They have anybody who's sick in the winter, they have somebody who's pregnant, is going for a delivery, there's somebody who's had an injury. That money is used by the panchayat or the local head for helping those people. So they appreciate that. We part of the what package that I have been giving, they also use it for the forest department. They'll charge you a minimal camera fee or a little bit of forest entrance fee. So that builds up. If a goat or a yak is killed, they're able to, reimburse so that there's no animosity for the snow leopard. So all the stuff that we are doing actually is helping that area. Now, I make sure that we don't use plastic bottles. We give metal bottles. We encourage people to bring their own metal water bottles. We take large cans of water so that those can be refilled when back in the plains. We bring our trash bag. There are designated areas in Kaza and Tabu, which are the towns, the lower hills. They go there and then they incinerate that waste. This is important because all this stuff is basically going to produce either garbage or heat, and that obviously is not the right way to go forward. So yeah, it's been okay till now, and it's a eye-opening trip if you've not done this kind of travel or photography. So now I'll show you. This happened in March 2020. This is that old Ibex I was telling you about, class 5 Ibex. And that's the snow leopard is the snow leopard that I told you was a male snow leopard. That's very commonly seen between Khyber and Chicham. Unfortunately, when it couldn't eat properly this prey because it just got too cold and it was too stiff, and it went stalking for 5 days. It jumped over a cliff and died during that time when I was there. But this is a classic scene for a snow leopard ibex. I'll give you a minute to see. There's no sound because it's about 400 meters down. It's amazing how this snow leopard is only 1/3 the size of the ibex, and it just won't leave its throat. And this ibex is huge. You can see it's not even really choking it at the moment. And it's nearly drowning in the water. Just look at the size difference. And this went on for about an hour. See, it's not going after the throat, it's going after the nose to suffocate it. Eventually it did kill, and that's the image that you've seen previously that I had. Thank you guys.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manjeet. Sanjeet, okay, can you, before Q&A session, can you enable your videos? So I'll take a group shot. I'll stop sharing your... Okay, ready? So I'm taking the first shot. Okay, one more. Okay, thank you. Let me, yeah, you can unmute now yourself and you can
Would you like
raise.
me to stop sharing or do you want to come back?
Yeah, I already stopped. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So I think you can unmute now and you can ask the questions. I think some question already answered by Nandagumar, I believe. So,
There are quite a few questions out here. Should I go ahead and answer those first?
yeah, sure.
Okay, and a couple of questions starting from red card to everyone. Sir, can we find Tibetan wolf in India and how are there, how many? There are Tibetan wolf in Spiti Valley. There are Tibetan wolf in the entire belt starting from Ladakh all the way till Sikkim to Arunachal. There are, I did see, but I have not photographed Tibetan wolf in Spiti Valley. There are quite a lot. There are quite a lot. How many snow leopards are there in India and the world? India has about 400 to 500 snow leopards. I think there are about 7,000, 8,000 snow leopards in the world. These are things you can just know on the web. When is the right time to go there by Anjita? Right time would be January to February, January to March. What you want is few snowfalls. So there's enough snow for the prey to move down from the higher mountains. They can go up to 20 to 1,000 feet. So when they move down, the predator moves down. So it's Jan to March. Mr. Nanda, how are you? There is an estimation India has more than 600, yes. Is the apparel also available on rent from Ranjit? There are companies in India who rent it out. The problem with renting out apparel that I have realized in all these years is that not every size will match. I mean, you might be wearing a medium, but once you put 2 layers, it becomes a large, so you can't tell what size will fit you. It is better to find good apparel in your own town. Because once you get there with that rental apparel from a different place, if you can't walk or you feel cold or you can't move, there is no other way. Nobody's going to help you out because everyone's brought their own kit. What is the sound of a snow leopard by Redcar? It makes all the sounds other than growling because it doesn't have a larynx like the other. It used to be the hyoid bone thickening, but that has been proved wrong. It's actually the larynx. So snow leopard doesn't have a larynx, but it will do all these following. It will meow, grunt, crustle, and moan, but it won't roar. Thank you, Anupam. Thank you. How to protect the camera lens from lower temperature from Aravind? I basically, first layer I have is like a rain cover or a dust cover. That is basically to protect it from snow, because once that snowfall you have, it'll start melting into droplets of water. And even though these cameras are weatherproof, you don't want to take a chance. I have improvised and I put this very light fleece blanket. I put a blanket on my camera when it's not in use. In fact, the blanket also helps you put it over your head, because when the light is really harsh coming in from the reflection from the snow, it's very hard to look through the viewfinder and figure out what's happening. So you need to use something as a cover on your head, like the old times, those wooden cameras. So it's really helpful to bring a rain cover and a fleece blanket. Numbers we will all share, that's not an issue. From Mr. Arun saying that, have you recorded that incident death or the male leopard while hunting or falling from the cliff? Actually, no one has done that. And even if it was done, it has to be given to the, you are marked privately, but it's okay to tell. It has to be given to the forest department. You don't want this kind of stuff to go out. If it was filmed by a professional crew with a legal permit, then that's not a problem. But no one did. They only saw it when it fell off the cliff. The battery conservation is a huge issue in cold. This is by Anupam. Yeah, very. How to solve it? You get these thermal layered pouches that you can stick your batteries in, or you put it around a blanket. Even a mobile phone, if you keep it out, the battery will go down to 0% in an hour. So you keep it inside your first layer of the 3 layers. Keep the extra battery always in the deepest pocket of your camera bag. The battery that is connected to your, that is inside your camera, that you can't help it. So the only thing you can do is switch it off and wait for it, only use it when you need to. So yes, you need to protect your battery. What will be the light condition there? That's again, Anjita. Do we have to bump up ISO 2, 3, 4? Okay, so the light condition is always good in the morning, because by the time you'll get to that point, it will be 7:30 in the morning. There, the sunrise happens around 6:30. So by the time you'll get to photograph, it might be even an hour ahead of 7:30. The light is fine. You don't have to bump up your ISO till about, I would say, 4:30. 4:30 to 5:30 is the last session, even 5. Maximum I have shot is 3200, even with the pro cameras. Yeah, that's probably 3200, 6400, not more than that. After that, because you have such a big, long distance, and you have, you're shooting at f11, f14, there's no point in bumping the ISO. It's not going to happen. What is the average lifespan of a snow leopard? 14 to 18 years, depending on what's prey base and territory. They say an average territory for a snow leopard could be hundreds of miles, but what we are seeing in the area that I go to, maybe 30, 40 square kilometers, 50. One more thing, what is the estimate population of kibber or by surrounding 50 square kilometer? Officially, we've been told there are about 10 to 14 snow leopards with cubs that move around maybe 400 square kilometers of Spiti Valley. Officially, how much it is, I don't want to know, and I don't want to tell, because let's just protect the animal. But there's a good population. There are days you might even see 4 or 5 in a day. Mother and cubs, male, 2 subadults, a male and a female. So it's good, a healthy population in Kibber. Libin, I think I'm done with all the answers.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions?
Amar says, what is the approximate cost of one trip from Chandigarh? Different people offer different packages. I think it's better that you PM me on this. I'll share my email ID, our company email ID. I think that's a better way to go about it.
I will do it, Sanjeet.
Yes, go ahead, please.
You go ahead, yeah.
And who performed camera trap and cat sampling in this? So right now, NCF, which is the Nature Conservation Foundation, that take care of camera trap. Another very popular and respected company is the Snow Leopard Trust. They're also part of it. Both these companies are hand in hand with the Forest Department, so they take care of us.
Sir,
Please.
yeah, there are how many % chances of seeing a Tibetan wolf in India?
How many Tibetan wolf in India?
Chances of seeing.
Chances of seeing a Tibetan wolf. And there is one particular village that has a good healthy population, maybe 14, 15 Tibetan wolf in that village. The problem with that village is sometimes when there's a heavy snowfall for that winter, it's not accessible. But I know people who have seen a pack of 13 to 14 Tibetan wolves a couple of years ago. When I was there this year in March, I miss seeing a couple of them in close to Kibber. So they have wide territory. There's no counting of a Tibetan wolf at the moment, by the way. The problem with Tibetan wolf is that people they shoo them away because they have their yak, they have their goats, their sheep, so they shoo them away, and it's very hard to keep track of them because they come closer to the villages, whereas a snow leopard is not going to come close to a village, so it's not that bothered by the villages. Drones are not allowed. It's very close to the Chinese border. If you have a professional film crew, yes, you might be able to get a permission. Austin Thomas, won't you need special gloves as we can't stick out our fingers in -degree? So there are people who will wear 2 layers. The outer layer has a finger cuff that you can actually take out your finger and use your finger as a bare finger or the touch sensitive middle glove or inside glove. So these, as I said, these are all Arctic clothing you're going to need there. People stick around with local clothing and put 3 gloves. It's not easy to walk. It's not easy to photograph. Not easy to grab your walking stick. So good gloves are definitely needed.
Yes, friends, I have answered the question about contacting us or Mr. Biju or Levin for all the programs. So anything else? You have our mail ID and our number and also Mr. Sanjeet's number.
Okay, Ranjit is asking, Arctic clothing can be acquired in Chandigarh? Yes, very famous and respected Arctic clothing company from UK called RAB. It's available in Chandigarh. So that can be done. That can be arranged. Even when you want Arctic clothing, even if you tie up, you should come a day ahead, go to the shop, try everything, then buy because you want the right size. Abdul, is there any threat to the local animals, which is the sole wealth of the locals? No, they're very happy with their wild prey, the snow leopard. The snow leopard will only come to the village if it's either a old snow leopard or is injured. What they have now done is they gather all their wild animals, their domestic animals in this compound which has a chicken wire on top. So basically the problem used to be that they used to jump on top and kill 30, 40 of those. There are still issues. There are some villages who are careless. They haven't put that chicken wire, and it has recently, even in February, killed about 40 of them in one go. So yes, then there is a threat on the snow leopard as well as the anger of the villagers. But the forest department, the local leader, the people who have benefit from snow leopard, they all gather with those poor people, console them, try to compensate them. So there is a proactive, system for not harming the snow leopard or people losing their income.
Okay.
You guys are welcome.
Any other questions you have? I think it's done. So, shall we wind up?
I think that should be it. I think.
Okay. So,
I knowledge to process. Okay. Arun is asking, is there snow leopard population in Zanskar and Nubra Valley? Nubra Valley does have a good snow leopard population, but the trekking is horrendous. I don't think unless you are a professional trekker, you're going to be able to trek and photograph, what is so much easier here.
Thank you very much, Sanjeet sir. I'm Abdushkur from Pakistan. Hopefully there is no boundary for the animals there. And they are enjoying their movement across the borders.
They are coming to your country, our country, neighboring countries everywhere.
There is a possibility you have more than us in snow leopard than what we have.
Actually, Pakistan snow leopard tourism has actually picked up.
Yes, exactly.
There are around 400 Snow
Yes.
leopards in Pakistan.
There are a few
Definitely.
foreigners who are actually going. In fact, the Nat Geo, one of the most famous Nat Geo movie initially was made in Pakistan.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Okay.
Birding,
Hopefully.
birding, you can come in summer also. Birding is amazing in Spiti. You will at least get 100 species easily. There is a book on birding in Spiti by the department.
Hopefully, we will be able to move very soon
Pardon me? Yes, yes.
across the border like animals.
Or we can fly. You can always fly.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It was a very nice session. It was simple, and even a layperson like me followed it very nice. Thank you very much, sir.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Lipin, thank you very much for allowing Mr. Sanjeet to host.
Yeah.
And let me share a small interference. I think next week you are allowing me to share my experience.
Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say that. So,
Okay. Then you carry on. I will stop. You carry on.
One last question. Astrophotography, yes. Even summer, winter astrophotography is amazing in Spiti. If you search around for astrophotography, it's amazing. We do sessions in the summer as well.
And just to interfere, we do have astrophotography workshops with experts, which will be conducted. Sorry. So it will be conducted by experts, and we will host astrophotography with full-term photography workshop with 1 or 2 very good photographers to teach you the night photography, including the processing. So you can always contact us for that.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And Libin, I wish one fine day you will invite us to do some astrophotography in your place.
Yeah.
And also
Sure, why not?
interaction with all of you people, because it's so nice to see all of you away from us, but not really away from us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Biju. You have done a great role in this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks to Biju for connecting with wonderful people like you, and looking forward for more workshops, and see you next week.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll wind up. So thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Once again
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.